So if you're in sales or if you're an entrepreneur in your early 20s, I'm going to tell you and I'm going to show you the science behind why you should not be having unintentional sex with a random woman just because they look good or it feels good. I'm also going to tell you what you can do instead of that. I'm going to tell you the effects that that has and how it can stop you from making more money, living a healthier life, and just getting to your goals faster than maybe you are now. And then the last thing that I'm going to do in the video is just share a bit of a personal story with you and understand that I've been there. Believe me, I feel where you may be at, where you may be going, and where you may have been. And I get it, right? And I'll be able to kind of just share a bit of a story to kind of tie it off with you. First things first, right? Whenever we're having sex with anybody, right, you want to be safe, you want to be clean, you want to make sure it's illegal. First things first. Secondly, understanding that having sex with anybody, but usually it's the opposite sex, that is an exchange of complete energy. You can have somebody that can look absolutely gorgeous. If you're a man and you're talking about females, you can have a female that is gorgeous, but behind the scenes, internally, her mindset, past experiences, traumas, exes, whatever, we still hold on to all of that trauma and all those experiences in the form of energy. Whenever we have sex with somebody, we transfer that energy to them or with them. So I know more than likely you are personally developed, you're self-developing, you're always leveling up, you're always pushing for more. So you have a lot of good energy, right? Every day you show up, you put in work, those habits, that consistency, it compounds, and that builds up good energy over time for the most part. Now, if you have sex with somebody that isn't doing that or not even close, and they're either just kind of neutral, just going through life, or they have some negative shit that they're holding on to that you would never know about, at least that quick and that experience before you have sex with them, that transfers onto you. And maybe not the next day, maybe not even the next week, but at least a few weeks or a few months after, you will feel that literally dragging you down if that person had any kind of negative energy or just problems that pretty much they've bestowed and put onto you, and vice versa. Okay. And I want you to also realize as well that when you have sex, I'm going to talk from a man's perspective because I know the science 100% when it comes to this. Women, not so much entirely, but with men specifically, when you ejaculate or you release, you come, whatever you want to talk about or call it, you release 4 to 5 times the amount normally of dopamine and adrenaline. Okay, adrenaline is basically your energy chemical, right? Or adrenaline, epinephrine is what they call it in the body. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter, or it's a chemical in your brain that's responsible for motivation and pursuit of achieving goals or dreams, and then also the chemical that's released once you have achieved those goals or those dreams. So whenever you ejaculate or you come or you exert 4 to 5 times the amount of normal release when you engage in that activity. And again, you have to ask yourself, what did you exert it for? To feel good and have good sex for 10, 15, 20 minutes, right? To exert all your energy and everything to this person, and in a selfish way of not really knowing what you're going to get back or how it's going to affect you in any way. So I'm not telling you that you cannot have sex. All I'm saying is that just make sure it's more intentional. Ideally, have a connection with the person. Know that they're not going through some crazy shit at the moment, or they haven't been through so much that it would rock your soul, mess with your energy. And of course, be safe, be clean about it. Me personally, kind of the story that I'll tell you about is I haven't had a serious relationship since junior year of high school, which was in literally just over 5 years ago. And since then, I haven't had any kind of really serious commitment with a woman. I desire almost more than anything right now, aside from other personal goals and business goals that I have, is to have a partner, to have a girlfriend. Not letting get married quite so yet, right? But I want a partner. I want somebody I can share stupid moments with, share great moments with, make memories, collab on ideas, get an added perspective. Somebody that keeps me grounded, right? But somebody that also fuels me to continue going after more and pursuing to be the best version of myself. But it's really hard to find that woman. And I rather put the energy right back into myself and not really engage in this unintentional sex, but develop myself, my character, all the things that make me the man that I am and that I want to be. And eventually, she and I will attract the right person. And I think that that's what God has planned. But I say that to say, within those 5 years, I've traveled the world quite a bit, maybe about 4 or 5 different countries. I think 2 out of the 5 countries, both in South America, I had sex with a woman I only knew for maybe about like 2 or 3 days, right? So those were like one-nighters or whatever you want to call them, quickies. But one, I used a condom, and 2, like I was in a place in my life where I was kind of like enjoying what I had built. I wasn't really growing, like I wasn't in like a growing phase. I was more in like a maintenance phase, if that makes sense. I was traveling. I'd already made a decent amount of money. My goal was to network and have a good time. That was my good time, and I did some really great networking, right? But aside from that, Like I never like even going to the gym 5, 6 days a week, and there's new gorgeous woman every time I go in there. I still don't. You can always approach them. You can build a relationship. That's actually really great for your mental health. But taking that next step with them, I just like to be really careful, and I rather kind of wait for the right person to kind of share that moment with. Um, so whether that makes me cool, whether that doesn't make me cool, like I really don't care. I'm not worried about the optics and how it looks. All I know is that from abstaining from unintentional sex, I feel like I've had far more mental clarity, far more physical strength because I'm not exerting all that strength and all that energy from releasing. I will admit, I probably watch pornography maybe every few months when I'm just extremely like hormonal or horny, as they would say, but it's not a habit. I don't do it a lot at all. And, I don't really know like a lot of women that, like I don't do the friends with benefits as they would call it these days or anything of the such. So at the end of the day, I think, if you have like small little flings here and there, and you're cool about it and like nothing goes wrong and you do it the right way, I get it. That's part of the 20%, the 80/20, right? 20% of just living your life, things are going to happen. But if you want to scale your income, if you really want to lock in and get dialed in, you can't just be throwing your seed around all over and realizing that that has consequences and that does tear you down as a man over time. You don't really see it a lot, but over time, if you're basically just a playboy or you're constantly going after those short-term wins, like you'll basically deteriorate faster than life would naturally deteriorate you as is. So again, to recap the video, understand that when you're always having sex, just be very clean, be very safe, make sure it's illegal, right? Secondly, understand that sex is an actual one-to-one exchange of direct energy from soul to soul. Be very careful about what you're taking in and what's being transferred to you. Obviously, you know what it is that you're putting out. 3, realize that you are exerting so much energy, personal strength, and positive energy that is compounded that you have internally. You exert a lot of that when you do release as you're engaged in sex. And last but not least, you can still have your flings, you can still have your fun, but be intentional with it. Be safe, right? Be healthy, be clean about it, and understand what kind of phase are you in life where can you have a bit more fun? Can you look for more relationships? Or do you need to lock in, as they would call it, do semen retention and, not jerk off and not watch porn, not have unintentional sex with just women because they look beautiful or they're awesome or it sounds cool or it feels good, like whatever. But doing it intentionally, doing it for the right reasons while also scaling your income, scaling your health, saving time, not wasting time and energy on, women that are just, quite frankly, are not worth it and are just there for the moment. And then I put in my personal story about how I did it. So that is my message to you. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're in sales, if you're young, make the sacrifice now. Block off 3 to 5 years on your calendar. Have a little fun here and there, but don't get too crazy. And you'll achieve everything you want as long as you're patient and you are consistent. So I love you. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.